My name is Waffles, and I'm a government whistleblower turned political commentator, and this is the last 24 hours in the news. Today is July 11th, 2025. It is currently 1:32 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Here are the top U.S. news highlights from the past 24 hours. New 35% tariff on Canada and broader tariff threats. President Trump announced a 35% tariff on all imports from Canada effective August 1st and is considering blanket 15 to 20% tariffs on other trading partners, including the European Union and Japan. Markets reacted swiftly. Futures dropped 1%. That is a significant drop. The dollar strengthened and gold edged up amidst heightened trade uncertainty. Markets rallied despite tariff turbulence. U.S. stocks closed near record highs. The S&P 500 and NASDAQ both finished at all-time peaks, and the Dow inched up close to its December high. This comes amid investor optimism driven by expected Q2 earnings and ongoing strength in tech names, even as trade tensions escalate. Google is sent to discount cloud services for the government. In cost-saving efforts, Google plans to provide heavily discounted cloud service to U.S. federal agencies, similar to ongoing deals by Microsoft, Amazon, and Oracle. This move aligns with the administration's broader push to streamline federal IT spending. U.S. State Department to lay off nearly 1,900 employees following a Supreme Court ruling. The Trump administration is moving ahead with State Department reorganization, including up to 1,900 layoffs and consolidation of foreign policy bureaus, raising concerns amid former diplomats. Federal immigration raids trigger forceful response. In California, federal immigration agents backed by National Guard troops used chemical agents against protesters during raids on cannabis farms. This drew sharp rebukes from Governor Newsom and members of Congress. Senate to vote on $9.4 billion aid and broadcasting cuts. The U.S. Senate is preparing to vote next week on President Trump's bundled proposal to pull $9.4 billion in foreign aid and public broadcasting funding. It only needs a simple majority, but bipartisan resistance could pose a challenge. Trade policy turbulence. New tariff threats could ripple across global supply chains and corporate earnings. Market resilience, record highs suggest investor confidence remains high even under geopolitical pressure. Government reshaping, federal layoffs and IT cuts indicate a broader cost-cutting America First agenda in play. That is a slogan that was used on coins made by the KKK, by the way. Civil liberties concerns, aggressive immigration enforcement tactics are drawing legal and political scrutiny. Foreign aid and media funding, congressional action on aid and broadcasting cuts could reshape international relations and domestic media ecosystems. Market close highlights for today. This would be yesterday's markets, the 10th. The S&P 500 closed at $625.82, up 0.26%, supported by continued tech sector strength. NASDAQ QQQ ended at $555.45, down negative 0.16%, with mixed tech performance amid profit taking. Dow Jones DIA settled at $446.50, up 0.43%, driven by gains in industrial and consumer goods sectors. But the stock market is not the economy. Just because the S&P or Dow Jones goes up does not mean that wages are growing, jobs are secure, inflation is under control, or that people are thriving. That's just what the markets are doing. What's driving today? Tech sector adjustment following recent record highs. Some profit taking in tech, notably smaller growth stocks, weighed on the NASDAQ. Airline and industrial boost. Solid earnings and raised guidance from Delta Airlines and smaller industrial stocks helped drive gains for the Dow. Wall Street's broader rally received backing from stable economic data. Tariff impacts and investor caution. Despite uncertainty around tariffs, e.g. Canada, EU, and semiconductors, sentiment remained cautious but resilient with ongoing market optimism for Q2 earnings. Here's a regional breakdown of incoming hazardous weather across the United States. Extreme heat, Central Plains, Midwest, and Southeast. Thursday, widespread highs reaching 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Friday through Tuesday, sustained upper 80s to mid-90s with high humidity levels. Risk of ice, heat exhaustion, cramps, and heat stroke. Stay hydrated, seek shade and air conditioning, limit outdoor activity midday. Check on seniors, young children, pets, and outdoor workers. Severe thunderstorms Friday afternoon forecast. Likely impact zones would be the Central Plains and interior southeast. Expect damaging wind gusts, heavy rain, and possible large hail. Precautions: monitor local weather alerts. Prepare a safe indoor space like basements, interior rooms, and storm shelters. Avoid travel during storms. Stay off of flooded roads. Weekend rain and storm potential. Rain and storms possible late Saturday through Monday in central and eastern regions. These storms may produce flash flooding in areas receiving several inches of rain. Stay safe by turn around, don't drown guidance. Avoid low-lying areas during heavy rain. Keeping an eye on accumulation forecasts and mountain runoff risks. Here are the top international news highlights from the past 24 hours. Tariff spree reverberates globally. President Trump announced a 35% tariff on Canadian imports effective August 1st, with plans to impose 15 to 20% blanket tariffs on the EU and other trading partners. This escalated global tensions and rattled markets. U.S. and European futures fell nearly 1%, while the dollar strengthened, especially against the yen and loonie. Meanwhile, the U.S. imposed a 50% tariff on copper exports to Brazil and Brazilian goods, weighing heavily on commodities like copper, surging 10% and prompting cautious investor behavior, even as global equities remain resilient. Wall Street hits record highs amid quiet data week. In a surprisingly calm session, the S&P 500 and NASDAQ reached all-time highs, buoyed by strong AI-driven momentum, particularly from NVIDIA, which briefly clocked at a $4 trillion valuation. Robust weekly jobless claims also supported the market recovery. Ukraine sees optimistic U.S. support signals. Ukraine President Zelensky reported positive talks with U.S. over a resumption of military aid and additional Patriot missile systems backed by Germany and Norway. Concurrently, Secretary Rubio held candid discussions with Russia's Lavrov on Ukraine's stalled peace efforts. Oil and gold react to sanctions and tariffs. Oil prices rose after Trump hinted at new sanctions on Russia and following an OPEC Plus output strategy, with Brent at $68.83 and WTI at $66.81. Gold climbed $1,332 an ounce in response to the expanded tariff landscape and firming dollar. However, gains were muted amid strong job data. Tech contracts for U.S. government under review. Google is reportedly offering steep discounts on cloud services to U.S. federal agencies, with deals expected to include Microsoft Azure and AWS, driven by Trump-era cost-cutting measures in federal tech procurement. Global trade tensions continue escalating via tariffs, influencing commodity markets, currencies, and investor sentiment. Market resilience in equities and tech, despite trade disruptions, signals strong confidence in AI-led growth. Ukraine aid signals reflect ongoing shifts in U.S. foreign policy and defense commitments. Energy and precious metals remain delicately balanced amid sanctions, OPEC dynamics, and microeconomic data.
So the Olympics is great, and Johnny, for the others, the World Cup. Johnny is the head of it. We had our top people, Wasserman. They all came in on the Olympics, and then I saw Johnny. And we got the World Cup, too. And, you know, it's only because they rigged the election that I'll be your president representing you there. You know, I got both of them. I got the Olympics, and I got the World Cup. And I said, you know, it's too bad. One was in 2026, and the other was in 2028. And I said, I won't be there. I won't be your president. But then they rigged the election, and now we won, so I'm going to be your president for the Olympics and for the World Cup. So, Johnny, thank you for the World Cup, and everybody, thank you for the Olympics. We're going to have a great time.
Hey guys, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment on my videos. And also, don't forget to check out my shop where you could get this awesome Real Patriots Punch Nazis t-shirt. America, fuck yeah! And if you go to the link tree in my bio on most platforms, it's got links to everything, all of my stuff. You can find my shop there. I'm on eBay. You can also get this cool Exterminate MAGA sticker, because MAGA's fucking cockroaches. And fuck MAGA. Abolish MAGA. Fuck you, MAGA.